You want me to put that on my Tudor?
Her podcast returns. Yes, understandable sounds of distress and terror at the prospect of the world's most boring podcast returning. That news sent a shiver down the spine of all right-minded folk, with the risk that Harry's wife is going to make a return. You'll be fully aware of the beige dross that was pumped out in the name of entertainment last year. The much ridiculed and hardly praised series called Archetypes, where Harry's wife had members of her staff do most of the interviewing, and she swanned in and stole all the credit, to the limited extent that any existed. Numerous instances of her taking a list of all of the things that she had ever been called in her life and then ticking them off in an attempt to suggest that she's not any of those things. It was an absolute clusterfuck of a spectacle, and it resulted in an executive of Spotify calling her and Harry fucking grifters and their contract being terminated. But according to GB News, who perhaps are trying to scare people ahead of Halloween, an article by Svar Nanan Sen tells us Prince Harry and Harry's wife in talks with Spotify rival over new multi-million pound deal. What fresh madness is this? Prince Harry and Harry's wife are in talks with a rival of Spotify after their podcast deal with the streaming giant was axed, according to reports. Advisors for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex have opened discussions with Amazon-owned Audible over a multi-million pound agreement. Now, pausing there. Either this is complete bullshit and it's the Sussex PR machine pumping this nonsense out in the expectation that Audible will go, oh, are we in talks with them? Oh, right, we better be in talks with them then. Yeah, actually, what a great idea. Let's sign them up and do a deal and spunk some multi-million pounds on this lazy grifting duo. Brilliant idea. Thanks for that. Glad you've mentioned it to us. We're happy to take it up. Thus, it's either the case that WME are doing their level best to get them a podcasting deal by suggesting there are talks with the expectation that this will manifest into talks, or somebody at Audible has lost their shit. How on earth could anybody with a functioning brain decide that it would be a good idea to sign up two individuals whose sole output was 8 episodes after 2 years of sitting with their thumbs up their backsides, only for one of them not really to contribute much at all other than, hey, let's interview Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump about their childhood trauma, and the other one to sit and just talk about herself and bore most of the people to death. Whoever is thinking about signing those individuals up really needs a welfare check. Somebody go and check on this individual. If you know who it is at Audible, be a good sort and pop round and knock on their door and say, is everything okay? I hear that you're in talks with the Sussexes for them to move to you and provide you with some content. You're clearly not feeling too good, are you? Let me soothe your fevered brow, make you a cup of tea, and tell you why you really don't want to go down this route. But returning to the report, an insider has claimed that the Sussexes are preparing to establish the media and production arm of their organisation Archewell in 2024. The source said, Harry and Harry's wife are retooling, retrenching, and preparing to change course in their efforts to establish themselves and their production company Archewell as serious players across multimedia platforms. Really? What the fuck are they going to produce? Whinge, the royal family are racist and weren't very nice to us. Nobody's going to be interested in any more of that. You've done it to death, and people don't believe you, for the most part, unless they're a stupid sugar. Are you going to write some award-winning audible play? No. All Harry can do is play with his building blocks and his colouring pens, and as for Harry's wife, there's never an original thought in her mind, and they're both too lazy. They haven't got what it takes to sit down and develop plot lines and character arcs and flesh out the characters. To consider creating something that would grip individuals which hasn't been lifted wholesale from elsewhere. They lack the industry and they lack the talent. What on earth are they going to produce? More tips about how to get people to bake banana cake on your behalf. Perhaps that's what's going to come our way. Me and my kids, except most people don't think that they are actually looked after by me because I spend so much time swanning around the world rather than being with them. Either Harry's wife has to come up with something novel and interesting and new, and we know she can't do that, so scratch that, or she's just going to tell you about her life. Dull, beige, boring. What is her life? Get out of bed at a particular time, let Harry in from having slept in the chicken coop, look in on the kids, make sure the nanny's doing what she should do, have a couple of Zoom calls, try and ring Oprah, she doesn't answer, try and ring Ellen, she doesn't answer, wander off down to the shop after having ensured that the paps have been called, put some clothing on that doesn't really fit, come back, sit around, crack open the first bottle of wine of the day, wonder where Harry is, smell the ganja, go and find him, slap him about a bit, tell him he needs to get his shit together, moan about the royal family for 2 hours to one another. That's her day. That's not interesting. That's not novel. But that's all she's got. Seriously, she can't say, here's me on set, telling you all about the latest blockbuster or riveting series I'm in, because she doesn't have any of that. This insider tells us, expect them to come out swinging in the new year. Well, maybe they're trying to spice up their sex life, but that's not really any of our business. Last week, Spotify's CEO opened up on the reason the streaming giant culled podcasts, including Harry's wife and Prince Harry's archetypes. Daniel Ek discussed the company's motivation for the move in a rare public interview 4 months after it was announced that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex's podcast deal would not be renewed. Ek said, "We thought new innovation was needed to happen here. We thought we could come in and offer a great experience that makes both consumers very happy and allows new creators new avenues." He added during an interview with the BBC, and the truth of the matter is some of it has worked, some of it has not. Harry's wife and Prince Harry were criticised by Spotify executive Bill Simmons as fucking grifters after it was announced that Archetypes had been scrapped. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex's podcast had just 12 episodes that were released weekly from August to November 2022. Accordingly, seriously, if you are an executive at Audible and you've seen the crap that she came out with, how slowly it came out and how much it cost, are you really going to risk your money? To my mind, this is errant bullshit. There are no talks, and it's the agency, again, trying to drum up interest in the toxic one that nobody with any brain cells whatsoever would touch with a 10-foot barge pole. I'm H.D. Tudor. Thank you for listening.